did not charge my phone. And I swear to God, Apple needs to do, I'm pretty sure there's at least one phone company that does this, and Apple needs to get on it, where they have the charging port not on the fucking bottom. So that way you can still do things with your phone while it's charging and not have it just sit lying flat. That'd be great. If the ghost of what's his fuck, the guy with the glasses and the turtleneck is watching, if you could just put in a good word, that'd be great. But yeah, hello, welcome back, everyone. Sorry that I missed live streaming on YouTube specifically, like the mobile only stream for so long. It's because I was traveling basically every single Thursday, or sick every single Thursday, or it was Thanksgiving or something else. So we're back. We're gonna try and pick up on it again. Although I think this next Thursday, not this one, but the next one, I'm pretty sure is that Christmas? That's Christmas. So we probably won't do well. Is Christmas the 24th or the 25th? I can't remember anymore. Anyway, Ty Larker. Hi, guys, saying hello, hello, hello. I don't have much going on today. I don't have much of a plan. I will say I am gonna pull the numbers for, or the winners rather, for the giveaway that we're doing on Discord. It's the 25th. Christmas is the 25th. Okay, so yeah, that is next Thursday then. Shit, yeah. So I probably won't stream next Thursday, but the one after that. Or is the Thursday after that New Year's? No, the Thursday after that's the New Year's. So we're actually gonna skip another 2 weeks after this. Fuck me. It's just like every single fucking holiday is on a Thursday. I swear it's not my fault. A couple people yesterday were asking about like what sorts of holiday things I'm going to be doing with APs, because I've done a couple holiday, one shots and things like that, or mini series. I don't have one this year. I will say, I don't think so. There is one I'm doing in called Baker's Charge on Roll D5. I don't know if it's live streamed. I already like forgot. I think it's next Friday. I'm pretty sure that's the closest we're getting to anything new. As far as the older stuff, if you go to my link in bio and you just go to the Forgotten Past Spotify page, they do a holiday special every year, and I was on last year's, and they said it was like amazing, and my character was a fan favorite. So highly recommend checking that out if you want to get the Christmassy or non-denominational winter holiday itch scratched. Um, hey, Zylargus says happy holidays, Christmas, New Year's, or Thursdays. Yeah, fucking wild. And then Xenex says Merry Christmas to you and chat. Yeah, we're doing our best. Oh man, we're trying to have a I don't know. It's just been rainy here. We haven't had snow. The apparently the Pacific Northwest is just having like absolutely abysmal, rainy, awful weather. And then the like uh east side of the country is like fucking whiteout conditions, is what I heard. I'm not 100% like certain. Um, but yeah. Let's see. Beyond that, how are you guys doing? And from the Midwest? Yeah, so basically the Midwest onwards. So I'm in the Pacific Northwest. So wildly different. There is only I don't know. The fact that they call the Midwest is insane to me. I feel like it's like the difference between fucking the end of the Oregon Trail in Montana is so fucking stark. So I don't know. I just don't think of it as the same thing. Someone else says you got Rogue's haircut. I do. So I think it's charged enough I can set you guys down now. I just had a haircut today, actually, to get the like color refreshed and then get a little bit of a trim. And it's mostly straight. You guys like never see straight hair. So sorry for the jump scare there. DVC said, in the central basin of California has been under a thick fog for a month. Really? Oh shit, I didn't even know they got like any degree of moisture down there. Shit. Well, rest in peace to California. I am gonna go ahead and get something taken care of here and now while I'm working on the stream here, because for those who didn't know, we did a little bit of a giveaway in our Discord, which is linked in my bio. It's basically just this giveaway that was brought to us by Gameswell, a company that creates cards and card games based off of the Pacific Northwest, speaking of which, and then also one that is based in Texas. And it's a bunch of like really cool card games. I keep it in my car so I can take it camping. And they gave away 2 copies of their book, P&W, 3 copies of their Mist deck of playing cards, which are like these deep blue cards that have like the most gorgeous like pencil style art on them. And then 2 decks of their Evergreen playing cards, which are like the green version of those. That's all in my Discord. I'm gonna go ahead and pull the names for those because we did that yesterday, and it's all like the people wonder how I do this. The giveaways. It's straight up me going to a random number generator and then asking it to pull a random number, and then I kind of count it from there. So we'll do that real fast. And we'll do it a couple times for each category. And that means I have to write some stuff down. But hi, Zero, how's it going? And then Murak says, hi, I'm at a brewery with coworkers. So gonna lurk. Tell your work I said hi. Hello. Um, eh. There we go. The only rule that there can be the same person winning multiple things. But there can't be the same person winning multiple copies of the same thing. So for the Mist deck, there's 3 of them. The first winner is Ilana6489. Hell yeah, I'll message her or them. The second one is, oh man, number 18, which is 1, 2, 3. Oh my god. Let's see. 25, 24, 23, Foreign Sun. Foreign Gnome, I believe. Foreign Gnome. And then the third one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 13, 14. Phosmo, which is lovely. So we have our 3 winners for the Mist deck. For the Evergreen deck, we have 2 winners, which is going to be 2, 3, 4, 5, 12, 11. Arrowhead. Arrowhead won something. Arrowhead 2. And then the other winner there was Galahad, also known as Chaos Dragon. And then the big one, the 2 copies of PNW are going to go to, let's see, 1, 2, 3. No, Movella. And then the last one goes to Turtle Monkey. Okay, awesome. We had like fully separate, no one won 2 things, which is honestly quite nice. I like spreading the love a little bit. Awesome. So if you won one of the giveaways, I will be reaching out shortly. I'll also post it in the Discord so everyone knows who won. I just need them to get me their addresses and I will sort that out with them. Let's see. Cyber Ninja, hey, says what's going on. I was taking a second to pull the winners for the giveaway from our charity stream, which, by the way, we ended up raising several $1,000s for the an Australian fund known as Starlight Children's Foundation, which is wonderful. Miriam says, unfortunately, I didn't win anything. I will say, if for some reason the person who gets back to me is not actually comfortable giving their address, which does happen, or they just never respond to me, then I do pull again. So there have been several instances where I've actually had a chain of several times over the same prize getting handed off to like several different people before I just gave it to a different person instead because like no one would respond to my DM. So make sure your DMs are open if you're one of those people or if you're in the Discord entering a giveaway. Otherwise, I can't do anything and I can't get your information. Umbrella says, hey, I was stopping in to say hi for a moment. Saw you go live. I'm prepping for the Dungeon Master University, so focused on that. Yeah, hell yeah. If B. Dave Walters is there, tell him I said hi. He's genuinely such a wonderful human being. I'm so excited that people are doing this with him and with the other amazing DMs. It's been so cool to see like that program take off because like some of the people on there do genuinely have really solid ideas. I want to say I came up with a really solid concept that I might make a video on later, where I was getting my hair done and my GM was talking, or my hairstylist was talking about the fact that he used to be in the military. And when you're in the military, they make you go through a bunch of different things. There is like a gas chamber experiment that you have to go through where you basically go into a gas chamber. It's like a cement room, maybe a little bit bigger than the one I'm in, the office. And it's a like Oh my gosh, wait, hold on. Tylarka says it just got approved to present on TTRPGs for a bunch of children's and YA's librarians. Yeah, dude, I'm gonna be, oh my God. So I'm actually gonna be, if I can, at the ALA's 100-year anniversary in Chicago this year. So hopefully I will also be talking to about TTRPGs to librarians and trying to get them into libraries more. So fingers crossed for that because that's been a real passion of mine. I almost started an organization based off of it long time ago, a couple of years ago, before I realized that'd be easier to go through the ALA themselves. So I'm learning about that. They have something called the ALA Gaming Roundtable, which is very specifically helping to fund people as they're creating TTRPGs. But I feel like there could be a really solid way, an inlet that they haven't thought about before, apparently. 150th, that's it. Thanks, Tyler. The I feel like there could be a solid way to just like help fund like Library of Things programs, like starter kits and things like that, fully into libraries for everyone. You know, I also feel like they'd be really good in nursing homes or memory care homes or whatever the one where people are still semi-functional. Those, so that way people can help stave off dementia with mental, with role playing and things like that. Um, Anyway, my hairstylist was talking about his experience at the gas chamber. You go into like a room and you're wearing a gas mask, so that way, it really doesn't feel like anything crazy. The pressure doesn't change as you walk in or anything like that. You're still sitting around talking with your buddies, and it just feels normal. Feels like you're breathing air. And then after a couple of minutes, they tell you to take off your mask. And as soon as the gas in the chamber basically interacts with water, and then undergoes a chemical reaction in order to basically turn into acid, which is how it sticks to your mucous membrane. So, like your eyes, your nose, your throat, and all that sort of stuff, which is why you can't breathe. So, he said it was less a punishment and it wasn't anything crazy. It was more just so that way they had a little bit more respect for their equipment and more confidence in their equipment when it comes to things like gas masks. But the other thing he was telling me was that he also went through like survivalist training. And when he was going through survivalist training, they did this thing. First of all, they waterboard you there. Apparently, he was like, "Yeah, they have a medic on standby, but like you do get waterboarded, so that way you know what it feels like." And I was like, "This sounds like an insane thing for anyone to go through." And yeah, Ryan says it's for the confidence of your gear. Exactly. Yeah. Especially like a stark difference. And apparently you go through it a couple times, the gas chamber, and they make you like say your name and your rank while you don't have your gas mask on, and you have to learn how to clear it and things like that. So it's good. It's a good exercise. The survivalist training, though, not only did they have you do like fucking waterboarding, but they had you do this thing. Oh, only once. Maybe this guy did it separately on different times. I don't know. I don't know I forget what his rank was. But he was telling me that they also deprived him of sleep, where they put you inside basically not a gas chamber, a shipping container, and then they make it so that for him specifically, they played Barney through the walls of the shipping container like 24/7, so that way he couldn't sleep. And he said after his kids were born, he told them that like watching Barney is bad for you. And it like causes hives, I think is what he said to his kids, so that way he wouldn't have to listen to it again. But they deprive you of sleep and they target a week, but they don't. He said the most that I think he saw anyone get to was like 6 days. And after a while, he was like, "Yeah, you start hallucinating." And I was thinking, well, holy shit, hallucinations are not part of like TTRPG depictions of not getting sleep. In exhaustion in D&D, you lose like your ability to do combat stuff, but there's nothing role playing wise, really. Like they don't say, I feel like there needs to be a separate table, right? Where it's like, oh yeah, you have -2 to all your ability checks after day one of no sleep, but you also have like some slight slower reaction times, something to kind of give you a little bit more of a realistic thing to role play off of, you know? Let's see. Galaxy Fox says RPG for elders. It might work, but you still need a rules light version. My grandma and her sister with dementia had a hard time learning new skills, though they did enjoy the stories. Yeah, I think it would have to be a lot more narrative ones for sure. Also, Miriak says, I've recently got Dolmen Wood and Candela Obscura. What is Dolmen Wood? Hold on. Dolmen Wood. From Necrotic Gnome. It's a fantasy RPG built around old school essentials rules, presenting a familiar game with a lavishly detailed world inspired by fairy tales and the British Isles folklore. Oh shit, this is cool. Here, I can show this to you guys, I'm pretty sure. Let's see. So this is what the art looks like. This is pretty cute, actually. The first thing that came up was asking for a map about it too, so I'm guessing they'd put a lot into their world building in that sense. But I love the art style. That's really cool. I'm really into crunchy games. I feel like if you were going into like a nursing home, you definitely want some more like not crunchy stuff though. I getcha. Let's see. Ryan says, what was this MOS? I have no idea what that stands for, and I'm afraid I'm not sure I asked. Galaxy says, I've been waterboarded before. Lack of sleep is worse, way worse. It's cause like, oh yeah, Emerald says a lack of sleep could be a madness table role. So let me see. Hold on. Wikipedia, lack of sleep over time. Sleep deprivation. Okay, so what are the stages of it? Let's see. So cognitive and neurobehavioral effects. You have unstable attention, slower response times. You have bad memory, deterioration of performance in tasks requiring divergent thinking. Your perseveration with ineffective solutions. So you try the same thing over and over again, even if it's not working. Um, yeah, goodness. So as you have more and more hours of sleep deprivation, your attention just goes down further and further. So you could definitely turn this into a separate table, especially when it comes to the memory stuff, to make it so that like you have to roll checks for the history checks more often with a higher DC the longer you go on. Which I guess is already rolled into the fact that you have a negative bonus to your rolls. But things like, not being able to remember something that happened yesterday, and making it so your GM is just like, yeah, you don't remember. Sorry, you haven't been sleeping, dude. Let's see. Do-do-do-do-do. Galaxy says, oh no, I read that. Ryan says, I was in the infantry. It doesn't seem right. I don't think it was. I can't remember. He just kept saying military. Mirek says it came with 2 fabric maps. Oh yeah, and then House Duggan says paranoia would be another good thing to try to include if you have levels of exhaustion. Yeah, so like hallucinating that someone is out to get you or hearing like little whispers in the night, especially if you have to stay on guard all the time, that'd be crazy. Oh, I'm also gonna sneeze. Am I? I feel like announcing that I'm going to sneeze is a really good way to not sneeze. But CS Hope says introducing illusions as hallucinations after a certain amount of exhaustion points would be awesome. It's a great way to test your player's confidence in their own reality. Exactly. So either messaging, especially because I make it a habit in my games to whenever one person in the party sees something that the others don't see, I usually message them, and it's based off of their passive checks where they'll be, or the fact that they have dark vision, right, where I'll discord's message someone or text message someone and just be like, hey, by the way, you just saw something move in the corner that was roughly arachnid shaped, but it had 17 limbs before you stopped being able to count, that just darted away, and you don't think anyone else reacted, and like then I just watch their face change as they read it on their phone while the role play is happening, and then watch them panic and then be like, you guys, what the fuck, I just saw something, I swear. And so playing, given that that's something that I already do in my games, feeding someone false information in the exact same way, top tier. Um, Also, Nodster says, deafened at the moment, but your hair looks great. Ah, thank you. Let's see. Also, Nyan says, I am new. Hi, welcome in. And then Galaxy says, basically, it's ADHD on steroids to be sleep deprived. Hope, let's see. I think I read that about illusions. Ryan says it seems like my life. Yeah. And then Mighty Giant Zion says, bless you. Thank you. We also have Galaxy who says there are actually ADHD meds that have overlap with sleep like deprivation thoughts. Oh, holy shit. I feel like sometimes I'm the only one on the internet without ADHD. Because I was talking to my same thing, my hairstylist also has ADHD. Everyone in the TTRPG space seems to have it. And like, I don't know. It is quite nice though, because we're also cognizant of it, that like we do a really good job of accommodating it for other people. People who have their session zeros be 30 minutes or less, which by the way, if your session zero is over an hour, what the fuck? I once had a session zero that was an hour and a half for an actual play. That was an hour and a half one shot. And I was like, I feel like this could have been an email. But yeah, things like that. I also went to, when I was in Australia, I guest starred on the Roll for Dragons Twitch page, and they have an actual studio set up in their house. Like they converted their garage into a whole thing with cameras and fancy mics and everything like that. It looked gorgeous. And one of the things they had was they provided little fidget toys, but specifically silent fidget toys that wouldn't be picked up on the mics for everyone. Because they were like, yeah, we know it's hard to sit down for a long time for some people, so we just got a bunch of fidget toys for everyone, which was super cool. Let's see. Ryan says I need to go. I'd love to hear more about this military story. Yeah, I'll have to ask again in like 3 months when I see the guy. But Nyan says, are we talking about movies or drama? Oh, we're talking about Dungeons and Dragons and tabletop games. Galaxy says, I'm not diagnosed, but my ADHD friends tell me I probably do. Yeah, I hear that a lot. I feel like there's also such overlap with there's like kinds of ADHD. Um I believe it's like multiple types. I believe. I don't know. I had a friend who got diagnosed recently in the past couple years. So this information might be a couple of years old, but he got diagnosed with like every type of ADHD. Former friend. And I feel like there's also overlap in some of the symptoms, as with OCPD, which is what I have, but it's also the most common disorder in the world. And so it's like incredibly difficult to tell sometimes ADHD apart from what might just be normal behavior for some people versus what might be like, behavior on caffeine or something like that. I don't know. Tyler says our session zeros are long, but we create our characters then on paper. That's different. Yeah. So especially when it comes to there's a difference between a session zero that's for the sake of like, hey, here's the safety tools we're using, here's the tech stuff we're using, here's where you can reach me, and then here's our expectations for how long we're gonna run. That's a session zero that I run into nowadays as far as like an actual play. But when you're actually teaching someone how to play the game and you're creating characters together, totally different. Yeah, that I would consider like teaching more so than a session zero. But yeah, YouTube says you look like Scarlet Witch. Oh my gosh, thank you. I think. Um, Nyan says, can I tell a story? Potentially, if it's not crossing a line. David C said that we're not diagnosed but peer reviewed has got to be my favorite way. I hear it explained. Oh my god, I know. Yeah, I do have a thing. I am annoyed at the concept of self diagnosis that tends to go around. Um, Especially because as someone with like proper diagnosed OCPD, seeing people use OCD, like the sister diagnosis, in like the worst ways possible, it, it's genuinely like you can quiz someone and give them 7 questions to their face in person the minute they say, oh my god, I have such OCD. And then it's like, okay, like hypothetically, why don't you answer these questions for me? And it's like 90% of the time they'll be like, absolutely not. And it doesn't make sense. But it's getting better. People are a bit more aware of their own lack of abilities to diagnose themselves properly. But peer review still very much is a thing. Galaxy says, I have a bunch of other stuff. I have epilepsy and other stuff. Oh, wild. So how hard is epilepsy to manage day to day? Because I always see epilepsy like warning things on media. And sometimes it's on stuff that you wouldn't expect to need a warning for flashing lights. And so do they just have to, like, if you have epilepsy, do you just have to avoid watching that content at all? Or is it like, having an EpiPen nearby helps out if you happen to react to it? Or is it like you can set up an assistive tool to let you know when it's coming and then just look away for a sec and then come back? Like, how do you actually manage that sort of stuff? Um, Galaxy says I have 2 session zeros because creating characters together is epic. Yeah, that's always fun. I don't have my characters create characters together because I like them to meet each other in game, and also I like to see little ways that they, and this is my favorite thing to do ever, that they would know each other and would have crossed in real life without or not in real life, but in the game in the past without actually knowing each other. So for example, I'll make it so that one player character had a tutor a long time ago who trained them in how to do magic, but then that same tutor had a bad business deal with another party members like family business, and then they have bad blood, but they don't know that they're related to each other yet, and I want them to find out slowly over time by like me name dropping someone or describing someone's physicality, and then having 2 people across the table from each other at the same time be like, oh, I know that guy. Wait, how do you know that guy? So that's my favorite thing to do. I usually prefer that people don't do their character building at the table, but I would have them do it at the table together if they were new players. That's the only exception for that. And especially for one shots where I don't need to see weird little connections. Hi, Daydreamer. Let's see. Nyan told a story about chicken nuggets, saying I ate king nugget. Oh, not the king. My favorite thing ever is when people will. I heard a story about a girl who worked at Crumble Cookie where she would have to break several eggs over the course of the morning to make giant batches of cookie dough, enough to last the store the entire day. She would have to do it like every day. And since you have to break that many eggs to make cookie dough, she started breaking them against each other. And then whichever one didn't crack was like the king egg. And then she would then use that and then go up against the next egg with the king egg and then keep doing like bracket style egg competitions against each other until she had a final egg for the day. And then when she was like, oh yeah, once the final egg had to be broken, the king egg had to be sacrificed, I knew that whoever got the cookie from that batch was going to have a really good cookie. So yeah, I don't know. Nasu says dying over here with flu and looking fabulous. I'm trying. I'm definitely still sniffly. I'm so sorry. Yvette says, are you feeling any better today? I'm feeling a lot better in that my nose isn't running like a leaky faucet, but I'm still congested and just kind of like, I woke up with a sore throat. and I briefly saw my life flash before my eyes. um, so, because I was like, God, if I have to be sick for fucking Thanksgiving and then also Christmas next week and then also New Year's after that, like I didn't even go anywhere except for the Game Awards, and I got sick like several days after landing back home from the Game Awards. So I don't think it was that, unless it must have been something around town, like the fucking post office or something like that. Um, I don't know. Galaxy says, it's funny. I'm from the Netherlands. People here don't tend to self diagnose as much. I heard the term from my American friends. That sounds about right. I think it's also like American independence and having a more independent, first of all, American self exceptionalism, where every American thinks that they're amazing and God's gift to the earth, which is not our fault. It's a cultural thing. It's the same way that Americans will like, um, I don't know, the same way that we revere technology and things like that. Like it's just part of our culture. And so I imagine, and that also combined with our shit healthcare system, it makes sense that people would rather turn to self diagnoses because they believe that them doing research is the equivalent of getting a professional opinion, or has the same, they believe they have a large amount of the same resources, um, which to a limit they might, but it's how you use those resources, you know? Steak says, are we talking about disorders? We are a little bit. I have some questions about epilepsy. Tyler says, I have epilepsy. My meds work well, but in Pennsylvania, you lose your license for 6 months after a seizure. Whoa, I found that worse than the seizure. Holy shit. Wait, why? Are you at risk of like more epileptic attacks? And are you, if you have a seizure, are you then going to have like aftershock seizures? Is that a thing? That doesn't seem to make sense. Also, Galaxy says, oh, epilepsy is hard to manage well. It really depends. There are 20 different types, last I heard, which is a while ago. Oh, interesting. But they have generalized epilepsy, they said. Also, Dag says hi. Hi. Nicholas says hello. DBC said, getting a doctor to diagnose you can also be expensive based on insurance, and it can become a pre-existing condition. Yes, yeah, it was I'm I'm not an anti-diagnosis person. I'm very usually, at least the way I grew up, my family never went to the doctor. Like I remember once when I was a kid, and this is part of the reason I don't talk to my family very much anymore. Part of the reason I when I was a kid, I was like 6 years old, 7 years old, and for some reason I had something that to this day I don't know what it was. It was tearing through me, and it was like a very localized, sudden set of pains where it felt like in my gut something was stabbing its way out. And I don't mean in like the cramp sort of way, where it was muscular. I mean it felt like, I don't know, for all I knew my appendix would have burst. I was screaming and then having lapses, and then it would kick in again, and like it was completely unpredictable intervals. But my parents still refused to take me to a fucking doctor. To this day, I'm pretty sure it was my appendix bursting and me just not knowing, but I feel like maybe an appendix burst would be even more painful, or I wouldn't have gotten over it in the course of a day. But I was sitting there the entire day like screaming essentially every now and then, and ever since then and before that, my family never went to the hospital, never went to the doctor for anything. We got like immunizations, but even then not all of them, because my dad is like one of those people, and so I got a lot when I was when I was older, basically as soon as I hit college, and the college covered it. But if no matter how sick I got, or even if I broke a fucking, I could have broken a leg. And my parents would just be like, okay, well, if it doesn't look like it's out of place, then just wait and it'll eventually fuse back together. So that isn't something that I stand by as an adult, but I could definitely tell when it still like affects me a little bit, where if I'm like not actively screaming in pain about something, then I won't go to a doctor unless it's been going on for more than a month. You know, if it's anything less than that, then it's just like, hey, we'll just pray it goes away. And that's the kind of situation. So it took me a very long time to get a diagnosis for OCPD, only because it inherently, as a disorder, people who have it inherently don't want to go get diagnosed for it or don't want to treat it because they see it as a good thing. Nowadays I'm on SSRIs, which helps, but um, yeah, it's like such a weird little paradoxical disorder. Let's see. Akota says, if it burst, you would have died if not treated. Maybe I should Google what the hell, what causes random stabbing gut pains for a day. It's not gastroenteritis, that's for sure. There was literally nothing. The top result is appendicitis, but yeah, no, the bursting of it would have been a fucking problem. Um, and I also wasn't nausea or vomiting. I don't think it was a kidney stone either because it wasn't that low. I don't know. I still don't know what it was. And it was only for a single day too. Um, no idea. But the top answer is appendicitis. Akota says Google will say death. I know. I'm staying away from like the AI responses because I know they're going to be like worst scenario. Um, Galaxy says, for me, staying away from stimulus can help. So flashing lights, strong taste, smells, things like that. But you don't have to fully stay away. Just manage it as much as possible. Oh, gotcha. Let's see. Snake also says, my friend's epilepsy is super mild and it has to be very sudden, very loud, unexpected noise. My younger brother had a seizure-esque symptoms from a vertebra in his neck being severely off of alignment. That's wild. I didn't know that like having a misaligned vertebra could cause something like that. Oh man. Also, Galaxy says for me, recovering from a seizure is worse. If you imagine a person, their mind works like a computer for normal people. It just works. But when you have, oh, sorry, for normal people it works. But when you have a seizure, your PC slash mind crashes. Oh, and it goes blank and takes a long time to get back. And like the sound of fans, yeah, it sounds like it costs a lot of energy. That is wild. Um, some people are also saying cysts, potentially, but it was so it wasn't like a dull pain. I've had a stomach ulcer before, and it wasn't like that. It was like it's stronger than any pain I've felt up to this day, and I've had surgeries. Anyway, we're getting so off topic and also to the end of the stream. Thank you guys so much for hanging out and for chatting. This one went by chatting. This one went by super quick. I only do small streams on Thursdays because it's kind of like my wind down day. I still need to post a video today and I still need to do a bunch of work stuff, so I'm gonna skedaddle and get back to it. It's so weird doing these streams at night too. Like, good God. But thank you guys so much for hanging out. Thank you so much to everyone who entered the giveaway for helping out with the charity stream the last week. I have got the winners here, so I'm about to make an announcement about who won, and then hopefully collect their addresses and then send them over to the folks at at Gameswell, so that way they can get the prizes out. But Akoto says we had a topic. I joined late. We did, I guess, a little bit. I don't know. We pulled the giveaway winners live, which was a really clunky process because there's no easy way to do it in Discord. But anyway, thank you guys so much for hanging out. I will see you guys on Monday. And then we won't have a YouTube stream next for Thursday because it's Christmas, nor the Thursday after that because it's the New Year. So for holidays, we're going to take the days off. But for the normal streams, those will still be here. So I will see you guys back on Monday. And until then, thank you so much. And I will see you later.